So when I married the love of my life, we found out the hard way that there's something called the marriage penalty, where both of our incomes had to be combined and our taxes were raised. But today's marriage penalty is going to go so much deeper. So stay tuned.
Disability Life TV is sponsored by Connor Dental Associates.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yvette Pegues, and you're watching Disability Life TV. Today we're talking about the marriage penalty, not the one most of you are the most familiar with. We're talking about the one that affects the love of two people that are limited by a federal law called the marriage penalty. We have our special guest today. We have Al and we have Renita. Renita, let everyone see your ring. And Miss Renita has this beautiful ring on, promising that Al will at some point be her husband. But unfortunately, we can't do that today, can we, Al?
No, not at the moment.
Yeah, so tell us about how you met before we get into the actual penalty. Let's get to our guests, who in this case, I believe, are so much more important than the penalty itself, right? So tell us about you, Al. You were born here in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I'm a Grady baby, as you know the saying is. Yes, I was born here at Grady. In 1977,
wow.
Yes, and I attended Law Ridge Elementary School,
okay.
And that's where we met.
Elementary school?
Yes, in elementary school.
Oh my goodness!
1988. I was 11 years old, and she was 14.
Wow.
3 years older. And yeah, we met there, and we both had this special ed class together.
Okay.
And we met there, and everything, sparked from there.
So, moment. Renita, was it love at first sight? Did he chase you for a while? How did that happen?
It was an interesting story of how that happened. She told one of the teachers in the classroom that I was bothering her, but I did not. I was not. I was minding my own business, doing my own work and everything. She told the teacher that I hit her, and the teacher came to discipline me and told me that, why you hit her? And I'm saying, I didn't do anything to her. I just met her. I don't even know her name and everything, but she told the teacher that, and
you
that's
slick. So you did that so you can get to know him?
Yeah.
Okay. See, she was a little older, so she knew some of the tricks.
Yeah, I found that out later, but at the time I wasn't aware of that. So I was frustrated and wondering why would she do that, but that is how she got my attention.
I'm sure she did. Besides being beautiful, right?
Yes, of course.
So tell me why you were in special ed classes. Why?
Well, we were in special ed classes because they felt that, by us being disabled, that, I want to say that it was actually some, people was on different levels as far as, academics and everything. So, but by us being disabled, they felt that, they had a special class.
Got it.
For the disabled people.
Tell me about your disability. Were you born with it?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I was born with spina bifida.
Okay.
And it's at birth, and it's a disease that affects when you're born. What I was told was when you were born, some of your nerves were born on the outside of your body.
Right.
And back in those days, the doctors didn't know much, so what they would try to do was actually put it back in and try to put it back together some kind of way. But of course it didn't end, the way how they thought, and that's basically what I was born with.
So spina bifida in its medical definition is split spine.
Yes.
Sometimes it splits on the inside, sometimes it splits on the outside. In your case, your cords and nerves were on the outside of your skin.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me, based on your diagnosis, how that affected you. What could you and could not do? What could you do and not do?
Well, the interesting thing is that I was born, and the way it affected me was differently than most people who were born with it.
Right.
And because I was able to walk, a lot of people who were born with the same disease or what have you is they're not able to walk. So it didn't affect me as much as it would, people who are normally born with it.
Got
So
it.
I was able to walk and, everything, but what it is it affects, like, for your lower body, your feeling,
The
nerve endings
Right.
and things of that nature.
How about your limbs? Did it affect your limbs at all?
Yeah, I was born also with club feet.
Oh.
I believe that was also a result of the spinal bifida as well.
Got it.
And so I had to have my feet
like corrected with the braces?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So how did you go from walking, which you said you did for some time, to being in a wheelchair? How did that change?
Okay, what happened was as I got older, my limbs started to, by me not having feeling in the limbs,
Right.
I would get, like, I would step on nails or, happens to have accidents of that nature, and I wouldn't even know it at times.
Exactly.
And only way I would if I would look down and I saw, blood or things of that nature to let me know that I had done it. And
Right.
as a result of that, I would get infections of, open wounds and
Right.
things of that nature. And as a result of that, I developed gangrene and I had to have my limbs amputated.
Both of them.
Well, yeah. The interesting story is that it was one at a time. One was when I was a lot younger, and the other happened as I got older.
So at one point, so you went from walking
Mm-hmm.
to having a single limb
Mm-hmm.
below the waist,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had your second below the knee amputation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically at this point you have two appendages up to your knee, and from the knee down,
Mm-hmm.
they've been amputated. Is that correct?
Correct.
So let me ask you a question then. Had you ever considered prosthetics, getting prosthetic
Yes.
legs added?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When I first had my first leg amputated, I did have a prosthesis.
Got it.
And that worked fine for a while until the prosthesis started rubbing up against the,
Yeah, the nub.
Yeah,
Right.
and it caused another problem
Right.
as well. So the initial surgery was below the knee,
Got it.
and then it came further up, and it's like I had 3 different surgeries
On one
before
leg.
before it got above the knee.
Wow. So this basically is more comfortable for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it
Okay.
really is. It really is.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the prosthesis, it was okay for certain things, but it was like 50-50.
Got it.
It was good for getting around and walking, but it also was problematic as far as causing ulcers and
Yes.
rubbing.
Yes. And multiple surgeries.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
for you, this is the best option.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'd like to know a little bit about this beautiful young lady, Miss Renita. I know you've been listening in. You've been around through this entire process with Mr. Al, right? Right. So tell us about your disability. Okay.
So,
you were born with
cerebral palsy.
cerebral palsy.
Mm-hmm. She's saying it's affected her whole body and her speech as well. But not on mine.
Ah!
Not on mine. Absolutely not.
I know that personally. Or your smile. So you were born with cerebral palsy. Now, has anything changed in your abilities since you were born?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that. Has it gotten better, worse? Has it changed?
It got worse.
It got worse.
I get
Okay.
As she got older.
As you got older, but you're not You're still like, what, 14, 15?
She looks like
Doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Does that happen a lot? People think you're like a little baby girl? Yeah, well, that's okay for now, right? So, tell me about how you felt the first time you met this fine gentleman here. Besides the trick you played on him, tell me about that. What was it about him?
Again, a big guy.
A big guy?
Oh, you like that? Ah, okay. Okay. High five on that. And that's what I love, right? To be exactly who you are and still find love. We are who we are, and I don't believe that we should ever have to change that to find love, because these two fine men and women found each other regardless, right? So I love that about you. We're going to talk a little bit more about the marriage penalty after we break for our sponsors. So you stay tuned, and we'll be talking more about the marriage penalty after we break for our sponsors.
Connor Dental Associates, full-service dentistry, providing orthodontics, implants, laser dentistry, and general care, set in a calm and relaxing environment. Our experienced dentist and staff are here to maintain your dental health, improve your appearance and quality of life. Compassionate, professional, and informative. Ask about our core whitening system, servicing insured and non-insured patients of all ages. Located in Kennesaw, near I-75. Call today and experience the difference for yourself.
Welcome back to Disability Life TV, and thank you to Connor Dental in Kennesaw, Georgia for sponsoring us. We are so excited to have both Al and Renita on the show today talking about marriage penalty. Before the break, we got to know a little bit about these fine people here and how they met, and obviously the love that they have for each other. You can see it when you look into their eyes, and their story just further compounds the love that they have for each other. But in the eyes of the law, these two cannot get married. While their love is eternal, it's not legal. Does that even sound right? I mean, how did you even find out about the marriage penalty, which is a federal law that prohibits benefits, not just financial but medical benefits, to a couple who both have disabilities? Now, does that apply if only one has a disability, or only if both of you have a disability? Both. So if only one of you had a disability, would it be different?
No.
Okay. So basically, if any member of the couple who are wanting to be married are receiving Medicare, Medicaid, or any type of federal funding, that is eventually lost over time. Am I correct?
Right.
So how did you find out about that, Al?
I found out by when we got together. She was very involved with, advocacy
Right.
and things like that. And
Right.
so she already knew that information. This was information that I didn't even know,
Wow.
at the time. So I learned through, her telling me and explaining to me, about it.
Right. So Renita and I met through advocacy, People First in particular, right? And we're always at the state capitol helping other people get the rights they deserve. And I didn't even know that the two of you were struggling with your own rights.
Yes.
So let me just commend you on how you don't allow that to keep you from doing great things, and thank you for doing such great things for the state of Georgia. You'll have no idea the impact that you'll have probably until generations past. But as we talk about the two of you, Renita, tell me, how did you find out? Because you found out first, right?
Through Adapt.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel bad.
Yes. Made you feel bad? Of course. But it didn't stop Al from buying you a promise ring.
No.
Because, again, as we mentioned, your love shouldn't be affected by the law. But we do want to make an impact on those who are watching and let them know that the marriage penalty is bigger than I even knew about. I had the privilege of getting married prior to my disability, so this was not brought to my attention. And I just can't imagine having someone in your life for over a decade that you can't even marry because of a federal law. And let me tell you the impact of that. I mentioned earlier that it impacts not just your finances, but your medical treatment. So basically, you would lose all of your insurance through the state and through federal funding if you went and got married. Is this what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's being done?
Well, right now, at the moment, we're, going around and getting the word out, because there are a lot of people who, at the moment, are unaware of the issue itself.
Right.
And as we are doing that, we're trying to, get people together to, talk to their legislators and their senators and everything to try and get this issue, dealt with in a matter of trying to, get rid of it to where, everyone is allowed to get married and live together and be with each other, and
So is it a matter of the actual act of getting married or moving in together, or is it a combination of both? Can you not be in the same household, or how does that work?
well,
Renita knows. Okay. You can live together. Okay.
But
you say we can't tell anyone that we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you keep love a secret? I mean, that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
unacceptable
I
because
agree.
it's obvious when I look at you that, hey, something's going on here.
Absolutely.
There's a love here that it crosses a lot of different lines, because I can appreciate and respect that you have religious beliefs, right? Because
Absolutely.
we live in a world where folks are fine with shacking up, right? To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
Mhm.
But when you look at your religious values, you want to say, I want Renita to be my wife and Al to be my husband.
Absolutely.
That's what I learned growing up, right?
Absolutely.
So we're also talking about religious rights. We're talking about disability rights. We're talking
Absolutely.
about human rights. We're even talking about rights that haven't even been made right yet.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So here's the thing. I need to understand going forward as we start to wrap up this episode, what can our viewers do to help and support you and Renita in getting this law passed? I mean, you know what? I'm not even sure if it's something that they're even aware of, or that's on their radar, or that they understand is very important to most people. So what can we do?
Well, it's important that you know your senators and know your congressmen and things of that nature in order to get together and make them aware, because what I also feel is that a lot of senators and people in that position, if it doesn't affect them or if it doesn't concern them, then it's probably not even on their radar. They're not even thinking of it. So I think it's important to, put it out there and to show them and to let them know that this is something that is affecting a lot of people and their lives, and to get them aware of it, to where then that they can get to where they could pass laws and try to get it done away with.
See, it's not even just a cost of living thing. Because as you know, once my husband and I got married, we're thinking, oh, that's messed up. We now have to report as married, and they're taking taxes away.
Absolutely.
But we had no idea, and it's of no comparison to the fact that we couldn't even say I do. So I would like to recommend and propose that we put a letter on our website that people can just cut and paste and send to your local senators. Would that help you?
Absolutely.
Because you know what to say. You know how you've lived.
Absolutely.
And I'm recommending that for those of you who are watching and care about the human race, because Renita and Al are your neighbors, your friends, These are people you're going to run into. Your kids are going to run into them. Family members are going to run into them. We are part of a community that should be integrated and not separated based on our disability. So if we don't have it hard enough as people with disabilities, we now have to be concerned about whether or not we can legally live with each other, marry each other, and express our love to each other in the eyes of the law.
Absolutely.
So here's one of the things I'd like to propose, and with your permission, Renita and Al, maybe we can put something out there, create something where you can get a link on our website and you can make a difference and change the world by just sending one letter. Because we need to flood the gates of our local, state, and federal leaders, because we've elected them.
Absolutely.
We've said yes to them and that they can be in a position to lead, but yet we're being left behind.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
Absolutely.
So as we start to close things out, we have something called a disability or D-Life Diamond. And the D-Life Diamond basically wraps up in a nutshell your thought, your belief, something you'd like for your viewers to be left with. This is your show. This is your episode. This is your show. So tell us, Al and Renita, how would you like to leave our guests with something that is a diamond in the rough, something that they may not have seen before, but it's always been there, much like this marriage penalty for people with disabilities? How would you like to address our guests?
Well, I would like to say that we're all human. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. We all have love and everything. And all I would like to be able to do is to be able to marry my best friend just as well as everyone who's, able to go out and do it. That's all I would like to be able to do, is to be able to marry my best friend without there being any federal penalties, any, Medicaid penalties or penalties at all. And that's just all what I would like to be able to do.
So your letters will give love the life it needs to live in holy matrimony. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned on our website so that we can get that letter out to you and any and everyone you know, so we can let love live and let Al and Renita get married and tie it together so it could be full circle from 14 to married. So thank you so much for being on my show. I love you guys for watching, and keep tuning in to Disability Life TV.